Good morning. My name is vijaypmisra and I will be talking about ordinal utility, indifference curve, which is a topic for BBA students of first semester in the subject macroeconomics. The concept of ordinal utility was proposed by R.G.D. Allen and J.R. Hicks and is considered to be an advancement over the cardinal utility approach for measuring the level of utility of an individual. This approach emphasizes that a consumer can only rank or order his preferences given a set of choices. Therefore, if he has three choices, A, B, and C, he can say which of the two he prefers the most and which he prefers the least. Whereas, if you recall, in the cardinal utility approach, a consumer was able to say how many utils of satisfaction or utility he had derived by consuming a particular commodity. The tool used by R.G.D. Allen and J.R. Hicks for analyzing this consumer behavior was the indifference curve. The indifference curve, as the name suggests, is a various combination of two goods which gives the same level of satisfaction or utility to the consumer. So if you look at the graph, this curve is termed as the indifference curve, and whether the consumer is at point A, where he has more of good Y and less of good X, or at a point C, where he has almost equal amounts of both good X and Y, or at the point E, where he has less of good Y and more of good X, all these 3 points A, C, and E give the same level of satisfaction to the consumer, and hence it is called as the indifference curve. Let us look at some of the assumptions of the indifference curve. First, the utility is ordinal, meaning that the consumer can say which good he prefers and which good he does not, or which good he prefers over the other. 2. The scale of preference of the consumer is not dependent on money income or the price of good X and Y, which means that both these factors, the price of goods and the income that the consumer has, does not influence his preferences. 3. The consumer is considered to be rational. 4. The taste and habits of the consumer does not change. 5. The marginal rate of substitution is diminishing. The marginal rate of substitution is the rate at which the consumer is willing to substitute some amount of good Y for some amount of good X. And last, the preferences are transitive, meaning if the combination A is preferred to a combination B, and if the combination B is preferred to a combination C, it automatically implies that the combination A is also preferred to the combination C. Let us look at these two graphs. Graph A shows us an indifference curve where at point A the consumer has more of Y and less of X, and at point B the consumer has almost equal amount of both good X and Y. The consumer derives the same level of satisfaction at both point A and at point B. And if you look at this curve, this A to this point and from B to this point will be the marginal rate of substitution. So A to here, which is the change in Y, divided by this amount, which is the change in X, is the marginal rate of substitution. The graph B shows us indifference curves at point U1, U2, and U3. The consumer, as he moves from one indifference curve to a higher indifference curve, he derives more amount of satisfaction, implying that a consumer prefers more of goods than less of goods. Let us look at some of the characteristics of the indifference curve. Number 1, it is negatively sloped, as you've seen in the graph. 2, it is convex to the origin, which is again clear in the graph. 3, two indifference curves cannot intersect each other. And finally, a higher indifference curve gives a higher level of satisfaction or utility. Why are these the characteristics of indifference curve, and why cannot the shape of the indifference curve be something else? We'll look at in the next class. Thank you.